Hello, welcome back to another video. This time around, we'll be talking about the anointing of the sick. This is another sacrament, part of this book. Jesus had commissioned the 12 to go out into the world and spread his work. In Mark's Gospel, chapter 6, verse 13, we learn that they, the apostles, anointed with oil many that were sick and healed them. Later in Mark chapter 2, verse 9, Jesus makes it clear that it is a greater work to forgive sins than to heal even the gravely ill. Jesus healed people with dire disabilities as well as illnesses. He did this as a sign of spiritual healing. In Mark chapter 2, verse 10, it reads, "That you may know that the Son of Man has authority on earth to forgive sin." Jesus has assured that the apostles would accomplish greater works than these. Later in the letter of St. James, we catch a glimpse of the church ministry of spiritual healing. "Is any among you sick? Let him call for the elders of the church, and let them pray over him, anointing him with oil in the name of the Lord. And the prayer of the faithful will save the sick man, and the Lord will raise him up. If he has committed sins, he will be forgiven." This is the sacrament we know today as anointing of the sick. We have to consider the symbolism of oil as well for the early Christians. Oil was used to heal and to strengthen. Oil was the base of many medicines and was also used as a liniment by athletes in the arena. Wrestlers also used olive oil so that they could get away from the grip of their enemy. Oil heals us and strengthens us spiritually so that we may also slip away from the grasp of the devil, just like the wrestlers. At times, the sacramental anointing can bring a physical healing as well, if the healing will be helpful to the salvation of the soul. It's wonderful but unusual, and actually far less of a marvel than the sacrament's ordinary effects. Anointing is more likely to give us what we really need: a humble acceptance of our suffering in union with the suffering of Christ, and an atonement for sins, especially our own. As we know, Jesus came to bring salvation. Salvation is a word that in the ancient languages was synonymous with health. His physical cures were signs of a deeper and more lasting spiritual healing. Although Jesus' healings were primarily spiritual, he still made physical works. For example, by smearing a man with mud and spittle, from John chapter 9, verses 6 through 7. Why would God manifest his power by such humble and earthly means? He made us. God made us. So he knows that as humans, we sometimes need to see to believe, which is why he gives us signs and the sacraments, so that it can help us believe. I would like to share the ponder in your heart moment. The Old and New Testament give an important place to sickness and its healing, teaching us to see the relationship of both to the economy of salvation. Sickness is connected with sin and the devil. When God heals bodies, it is to care for souls as well. Healing the sick, together with freeing those possessed by demons, is one of the signs of the reign of the Messiah. It is by sin that sickness came into the world, with the pain of drudgery, the sufferings of childbirth, and death. Genesis chapter 3, verses 15 through 19. Although sickness is not expressly mentioned in the curse of Adam and Eve, theological tradition has always rightly seen it as included. Though Christ healed the sick and gave his church power over disease, he did not abolish sickness. Neither has he abolished death, pain, or drudgery. However, like death, sickness has been conquered. The messianic era has been established once and for all. In the heavenly Jerusalem, these ills will have no place. Here below, they still exist. But Christ has overcome sin and Satan, the cause of sin. Sickness has therefore lost its quality of being a curse. It can become redemptive, enabling the Christian to become like Christ in his passion and at the same time to witness the power of the risen Christ in him. When Paul begged to be delivered from the sting that attacked his body, the Lord answered, "My strength will find scope in your weakness." 2 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 9. In his own flesh, Paul is to accomplish for the church what is lacking to the suffering of Christ. Colossians chapter 1, verse 24. We bear at all times in our body the sufferings of death of Jesus, that the life of Jesus also may be manifested in our body. 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 10. I am in Georges Martimore, 20th century. That is all I have for today. Have a blessed day, and I'll see you tomorrow.